Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we have some football to talk about today. Today, we're going to take a step back from all the news and just break down Justin Fields. Lots of stuff coming out about Justin Fields' potential new team next season, and so I wanted to go ahead and dive right in and figure out where Justin Fields will be playing next season. So that's what we're going to talk about. So take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So, Justin Fields is today's topic. We have basically no idea what's going to be going on with Justin Fields, but we can do some research, we can look into it, and we can make some educated guesses. And this kind of started last season even. I don't even remember what week it was, but like mid-season, especially when he got injured, rumors started piling that the Bears were no longer interested in Justin Fields being their long-term option. We knew that they were trending towards having the number one overall pick due to the Panthers. And so lots of people had started even last season expecting Justin Fields to not be on the Bears in 2024. Myself included. I have been saying that Justin Fields will be an Atlanta Falcon for months and months and months now. But now's the time to look into how, why, what's going on, everything like that. We're in the middle of a slow news week. And yesterday, Adam Schefter went on to ESPN Radio, ESPN Chicago, and talked about this very discussion, asked specifically what he feels that the Bears will do with the number one overall pick and what he feels that they could do with Justin Fields. And it starts with this. He believes, Adam Schefter and a lot of other NFL insiders, this is what a lot of people are starting to believe and understand when it comes to the Bears, is that they will stick at number one overall and they will take Caleb Williams. This comes as Caleb Williams, of course, is one of the better prospects we've seen at the quarterback position for a very long time. And of course, the team is just not totally sold on Justin Fields, so they're ready to make a change at quarterback. And not often do you get to luck into that number one spot, especially when it's not even your own team's pick. And so they think, lots of insiders, that they will stay at number one and take Caleb Williams. I think that's a fine move. I think that makes a ton of sense. And to go even a little bit further, he was asked, what would it even take for the Bears? Say it's not Caleb Williams, but say that they are looking at getting a quarterback. What would it take for them to move from the number one spot to the number two spot with the Washington Commanders? And Adam Schefter said the starting point would be at least 2 firsts on top of that 102, which just shows how much they believe in staying at number one and picking Caleb Williams, and how much stronger they feel about Caleb Williams than any of the other quarterbacks in this draft class. That is clearly the guy that they want. If they want that much for the number one overall pick, I can't imagine they trade it, and I can't imagine they want anyone other than Caleb Williams. So thanks to Schefter's interview yesterday, I think that we can basically lock it in that the Bears are going after Mr. Caleb Williams. Of course, still a long process, still the combine, still interviews, still all of that fun stuff. But I think all of us have come to the agreement that Caleb Williams is going to be the number one overall pick. I mean, 2 seasons ago, 3 college football seasons ago, this guy has been hot for a very long time. We've been waiting for him to enter the NFL. And now he's here. And unfortunately for Justin Fields, while he's the quarterback of a team, that team is ready to move on, and that team is in the position to take Caleb Williams, who, at least out of college, is looking like a better prospect than Justin Fields was. And so then Adam Schefter was asked, well, if they're taking Caleb Williams at the number one overall pick, what are they going to do with Justin Fields? And basically, he just kind of talked about what kind of return that he feels they could get for Justin Fields. He said he's definitely on the trade block. And he said that he thinks the Bears will easily get a second for Justin Fields and could potentially even get a first-round pick. When I hear potentially could get a first-round pick, I think my eyes just go straight to getting an early second. If I have to ask, if I have to guess here, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But if it's a first, it would probably be a late first. As we know, Justin Fields wasn't picked mega early, not even a top 10 pick, if I remember correctly. So I doubt that they get an early first, but maybe a late first. But to me, I'm kind of thinking an early second when I hear what kind of return they could get for Justin Fields, especially if it's easily a second. Easily a second, maybe a first. Early second is what he's trying to say. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking that they'll get for Justin Fields, and I think that's a fair package. I think getting an early second for Justin Fields is totally okay. Whoever team gets him still has one more year on his rookie contract and could potentially take that fifth-year option. But, there's still a huge risk in taking in Justin Fields. The guy struggled to win games and very frequently stays in the pocket too long and relies on his scrambling ability more than he should. So he's still definitely a project, even if he is still one of the better and more explosive quarterbacks in this league. So, Jason, what's your thought? What are the Bears going to do? Well, I just think they're going to stay at 1. I think they're going to pick Caleb Williams, and I think they're going to trade Justin Fields. So DraftKings Sportsbook has come out with some odds on the potential teams that Justin Fields could go to. We're going to talk about every single one, and then we're going to talk about where I think he'll go. And I mean, you can tell in the title, I'm already going to talk about why he's going to be an Atlanta Falcon. But to entertain everything and perhaps, maybe enlighten you guys a little bit about what's going on, we'll discuss it. So first, on DraftKings Sportsbook, the favorite for Justin Fields right now is the Chicago Bears at +100. They still believe that it is possible he stays in Chicago, even if they do draft Caleb Williams, which I guess could make a certain amount of sense. I don't necessarily think so. I think especially if you're going to take the 101, you should just let them start immediately. But Justin Fields would enable them to, at least play a couple games. I think the issue there would be if Justin Fields got injured, they'd never be able to trade him. So I think, it's more of the Bears are going to be the favorite right now for him to be, because that's where he is right now. And there's not a lot of information out there. So at +100 right now, the Bears are the team most expected to have Justin Fields next season. However, the Falcons are second and very, very close. They're at +140, which is obviously super, super close to +100. And the Falcons right now actually have an estimated $30 million cap space going into next season. And of course, that number 8 overall pick. I mentioned that I feel like an early second is what makes sense. The Falcons' number 8 overall pick in the second round makes a ton of sense to me. The Falcons clearly need and want a quarterback. And so I think that they will definitely at least start offering with their second round pick, even though it's a really early one. They can maybe try to get Justin Fields and something, but I think that that's going to be the ultimate package if he does go to the Falcons, this early second round pick for Fields, and maybe a 4th or 5th thrown in there if they have to, or maybe, they do trade their first and it's Justin Fields and like a corner or something like that, or another pick in another year. But either way, I think that the Falcons definitely have not only the cap space to make something like this work, but also the draft capital. And so again, that +140, super close to the Bears, super easy odds, and makes a ton of sense to Vegas, makes a ton of sense to me. I think that the Falcons are the team that Justin Fields will be going to, but there's still some other teams that have some Vegas odds about them that are worth mentioning just in case. The Raiders are next. So we've gone from +100 to +140. The Raiders are +450 to land Justin Fields next season, which is much further away, but they do have the cap space. They have $40 million of cap space going into next season and the number 13 overall pick. So again, that's an early-ish second to try to use to get Justin Fields. But I don't necessarily think that when you look at the Raiders and especially their new offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, I doubt that Luke Getsy wants to coach Justin Fields again, and I doubt Justin Fields wants to play for Luke Getsy again, but that connection is still there. That continuity is still there, and so people have at least raised their eyebrow a little bit about this happening. The Raiders do need a quarterback, and I do think Fields would be a solid fit in Vegas, especially with the Antonio Pierce head coach. I just think that would work well for what Justin Fields really needs. So it's something that could happen. It's a potential on those Raiders for sure. But I just think that the Luke Getsy thing to me makes me think that it's not necessarily going to happen. I don't think they really want to work together again. The next one is the Seahawks. The Seahawks right now, they're sitting pretty at +750. But the issue here is that they have -$1 million in cap space next year. They've got a mid pick at number 16 in the first round, and they still have Geno Smith And they're going through a big turnover situation with a new head coach coming in because Pete Carroll has his new role. So I think that this one is a bit unlikely. I think that it's more likely that the Seahawks maybe draft a quarterback later in the draft, maybe even at number 16, and sit behind Geno Smith for half a season and then go from there. That's kind of my thinking. But still, the fourth highest odds to land Justin Fields, you can certainly make a situation up where Justin Fields goes there. I just think the Raiders and the Falcons, of course, more likely. Even the Bears probably, to me, a bit more likely than the Seahawks, as Vegas even suggests. But it's in there. It's a possible. The next one that's possible is the Broncos. The Broncos are the next highest odds at plus 1,600. This would come especially if they move on from Russell Wilson. They have, though, this huge contract situation with him and not a ton of cap space. In fact, they have an estimated negative $25 million in cap space next season, and they are on the hook for Russell Wilson's contract, even if he goes to another team, unless they work out some sort of trade deal. But either way, the Broncos are probably paying Russell Wilson next season, so it's hard to imagine that if they let Russell Wilson walk, trade him away, that they would want to bring in another quarterback that's due to have another big contract at the end of the season. I think it makes a lot more sense for the Broncos to find either a veteran or bring in someone in the draft. They have the number 12 pick, which is not terrible at all. They could use that on one of the quarterbacks. They could trade back and get a quarterback, or they could just pick a really good player with that and wait till the second round because they're, in the upper half there with that number 12 pick in the second round too. So that's kind of the situation here with the Broncos. Not really going to think it happens, even if they move on from Russell Wilson. I think it's a bit unlikely, but certainly interesting. And then the next one that I felt was worth mentioning was the Steelers. The Steelers have the same odds as the Broncos at plus 1,600. Someone in the chat, Anthony, already mentioned here that that's a spicy one, and it is a spicy one. We know now that the Steelers are not totally sold on their quarterback room. It's going to be an open competition between Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, and the Steelers continuously make the playoffs despite terrible quarterback play. They could use a quarterback. They're sitting right now at the number 20 pick, so it's interesting that Adam Schefter mentioned a first round maybe. That number 20 is a late first round pick that could be utilized to maybe get Fields plus, especially if they're not totally sold on, Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph. I know a lot of people out there believe that the Steelers will give Kenny Pickett at least one more shot this season, but I just don't think that's true. Mason Rudolph played a lot better than him, made that team look really good towards the end of the season. So I think it's honestly either going to be Mason Rudolph or rookie, or, they do bring in a quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields would be the greatest fit. I do love the idea of the Steelers bringing in a quarterback. I just don't think Justin Fields is the one that they should. I would like to almost see them stick with the weird veteran route and just kind of go from there. But we'll see, right? I mean, they got Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator who loves these mobile quarterbacks that can do a little bit more than just throw the ball. And he doesn't even care if he can throw the ball because they want to run so much. So Justin Fields fits a little bit here in Pittsburgh. Those are some super high odds at 1,600, and it makes a certain amount of sense. I would probably rank it, to be completely honest. I would say Falcons most likely, and then maybe the Steelers, even though those odds. I know it's really far away and they have negative 14 million cap space, but I think that they could work it out. But I think ultimately my opinion here is that the Steelers are heavily going to be in this quarterback market, and don't be surprised if they make a move. I just don't necessarily think it's going to be Justin Fields. I think that they'd go a different route here. But Anthony says I splashed 10 at Pittsburgh for the stream. I like it. Throw $10 on there. Plus 1,600 for $10. Screw it. Have some fun. That is definitely the longest odds that make some sense. I really don't think the Broncos make any sense. And then kind of the rest of the odds that were out there, like the Patriots, for example, were a team that was in the mix for Justin Fields, but we all know they're going to draft a quarterback with their high draft pick, so I'm not even going to entertain it. So yeah, those are kind of the teams that DraftKings Sportsbook seems is likely to land Justin Fields, whether it be staying on the Bears, going to Atlanta, going to the Raiders, going to the Seahawks, going to the Broncos, or going to the Steelers. But for me, the Jason pick, of course, is that Justin Fields will be an Atlanta Falcon in 2024. We know so many things about this that I think that it just makes too much sense. It really just makes too much sense. Like I said, I've been saying it since mid-season last year. You can literally go check our Twitter and find a quote of me saying that Justin Fields will be an Atlanta Falcon from like October, but still, he's from Kennesaw, which for those not in the know, that's one of the bigger suburban cities outside of Atlanta, right outside. It's huge. It's like the place that you live if you're not in Atlanta. Anyone who says they're from Atlanta probably lives in Kennesaw or Marietta. Anyway, that's where he's from and loves the Falcons. Of course, went to UGA at first. He's a Georgia boy. I'm sure he'd love to come home. And then also the Falcons, while it was an Arthur Smith probably personnel decision, but the last couple seasons, they've gone that mobile quarterback route. They brought in Marcus Mariota. They brought in Desmond Ridder. They clearly wanted a mobile quarterback to run this offense. And I think Justin Fields would fit perfectly. We saw a lot of success from Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. A lot of success. I know a lot of people want to write it off, but they were really good for fantasy football, and they were especially good in the ground game. I mean, like, they ran a decent bit and had an interesting offense, to say the least. I think Justin Fields would make it look a lot better, and I think that they have the money for it. They have the capital for it. They have the room for it. It makes sense on both sides. I just think that that's such a likely landing spot that I can't really imagine it being anything else unless he stays in Chicago and they do trade the number one. But we're finding out now through Schefter that that's not going to be the case. So from him being from Georgia, from the Falcons probably wanting a mobile quarterback and needing a quarterback in general, and the projected price tag on Justin Fields being an early second, well, they have the number 8 pick in the second round, pick 40, pick 41, whatever that is. Seems like perfect value for both sides. I think it makes a ton of sense. I know he'd stay in the NFC, but it's still, of course, a different division, so it's going to be fine. And yeah, that's honestly just where I'm at. I really can't entertain anything else. I have been kind of lockstep on Justin Fields to the Falcons for a very long time. Behind me, I have some football cards. I have been slowly accumulating Justin Fields rookie cards for the day he becomes an Atlanta Falcons quarterback. I traded for him like week 4 in my Dynasty League last season because I wanted him to be the Falcons quarterback in 2024. I think it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really do. And I think it's going to be a fantastic fit. I think that Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson can really work some wonders on Justin Fields as a passer and just as growing as a man in general from Raheem Morris's just hoo-ha attitude. It's so good. It's just so good. Kyle Pitts would be awesome. Drake London would be awesome. Bijan Robinson would still be good. I mean, it would just be fantastic. It makes a ton of sense on both sides. It's going to happen. Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons. Do we have any disagreements? Do we have any questions? Let's check the chat. Let's see. Long as Steelers don't bring in Tannehill, Cousins, or Wilson. Yeah, I think that all 3 of those make more sense than Justin Fields. And ultimately, I just do believe that the Steelers are going to be in the quarterback market this year. Wilson would be the one I see Pittsburgh giving a shot. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do. Out of these landing spots, again, I think the Falcons is the most likely, but the Steelers out of these names just seems like the one that's just going to kind of land one of these hot ticket quarterbacks. I just don't think it's going to be Justin Fields really at all, to be completely honest with you. Positive Grouch asks why we're talking about the Bears. I just saw a bunch of stuff about Justin Fields this morning and felt it was worth a whole episode. Tomorrow we'll probably be back on track with some news, but there's just nothing going on. How many times can I talk about offensive coordinators? You know, do we really want to talk about Greg Roman and everything this morning? Not really. Let's have some fun with Justin Fields. So anyway, thanks a lot as always, guys, for tuning in. This was another fun episode of the Wake and Take. I hope to see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Player Profiler YouTube and Instagram. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on your way out, and look forward to another Wake and Take tomorrow. You guys have a wonderful Wednesday and a fantastic rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.